Hello there everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Good Game Have Fun. This is me, THP, talking to you guys once again, and of course, you guys already knew from a mile away that I would make a video about this. It's a very unfortunate situation. I'm sad to have to say this because, you know, in a sense, we kind of had it coming, you know? But we have Senran Kagura Burst Renewal. You guys know that that is a remake of the very first Senran Kagura game, fully done in 3D and all that stuff, and it comes with all of the features that all of the newer games have, akin to like Estival versus and PBS. And so obviously, like all games in the Senran Kagura series, it includes an intimacy mode or a dressing room mode where you can go in, look at the character models, and of course you can have these little grabby hands where you can go in and touch up the girls and all that stuff. And that's always fun and funny, at least for me. They have added this new feature in the newer games where like you have the little heart meter that increases, and as it increases you can actually give them like a kiss kind of, but it's just, you know, just a silly little thing, right? It's not really made with any ill intentions or malice or anything like that. But apparently Sony doesn't really see it that way. So Sony, you know, the people that, you know, put the games out on their own platform, told Exceed Games, the people that are localizing this game in English, to remove the mode, to remove the intimacy mode. Now, it doesn't say remove the dressing room. You can have the dressing room, you can customize all of the outfits, and of course, maybe you can even, like, move the character model around and, you know, look at it, but you just can't do the grabby hand. You can't do any of the boob grabbing or any of the butt grabbing or anything like that. That's how you would in literally any other Senran Kagura game, including the English localized versions of them, where for some reason on the previous games that was not a problem, but apparently now it is. They just felt like, you know, getting mad at it, and they just don't want that in the PlayStation 4 version of the game. So there's tweets all over the place for this, including my own opinion on it, and I'm not necessarily going to be repeating myself here, just a little bit, but not too much. But of course, as always, I'm going to be leaning on this article from Gamatsu. Shoutouts to Gamatsu, shoutouts to Saramano for covering the story. I will be shamelessly ripping off your article, even though I've already talked about it a lot, even before this article was made. But still, you know, I like using this as kind of like my jumping off point to my own opinion. So, yeah, the article says, you know, just formally introducing the thing. Exceed Game has delayed the launch of Senran Kagura Burst Renewal. So first of all, like, just taking away the whole, you know, feature removal thing, they are delaying the game to God knows when. Before the release window was fall 2018. They never specified when in fall 2018. It was just fall 2018. So even then, we had no idea when precisely it was going to come out. But yeah, they're going to delay it even further than that, possibly to even maybe 2019. Because they're delaying, the reason for the delay is because they're removing the intimacy mode and changing stuff around, you know, due to, you know, at the request of Sony Interactive Entertainment. That is something that I want to get perfectly clear, 100% clear. Do not blame Exceed Games for this. This is not their fault. And in fact, an even bigger reason for why I should support them instead of shitting on them, because I have seen people on social media say, like, fuck Exceed for this stuff. No, they do not deserve any of the hate. Sony deserves all the hate, in the same way that they deserved all of the hate when they fucking canceled Omega Labyrinth Z because they refused to put it on PS4 or whatever. And, you know, all of that work, all of that money that they spend marketing and advertising and making the game for Omega Labyrinth in English, you know, like, that just gone. Just because Sony decided that they didn't want that game on their platform. It seems like increasingly as time goes on, they're going back to that PlayStation 3 arrogance that they had before, and it seems like they're tackling ecchi / anime fanservice games of that nature, especially games that don't really make them a whole lot of money, right? Because you know, I don't know, I always say this, but I feel fully that there is a massive double standard when it comes to the Western market and how they receive anime-style stuff, right? You know, you can see two women kissing on The Last of Us 2, right? But if you see Hyperdimension Neptunia or Senran Kagura have, like, a same-sex relationship, where even an implication of that is like, oh, you sick, dirty perverts, oh, you're so sad, and, like, you know, but is the same thing, but with a different art style. But for some reason, the Japanese thing is not okay, but if it's Western, then it is automatically okay. You know, like, oh, how progressive you are, you know? We're truly growing as an industry. But if it's anime, then suddenly, like, oh, it has no value, and you're a sick pervert and probably a pedophile. Ugh, get that shit out of here, you know? I really don't understand that. And so, I guess Sony is on that side, because, you know, they saw the intimacy mode in Senran Kagura Burst Renewal. Apparently, they didn't bother to check in the other previous games because they're not okay with this new one. And so they decided to say, you know, you cannot put the game out here unless you remove this mode. And so Xseed came out with, you know, the announcement saying that they're going to delay the game because they have to remove this. So there's a message that they put out on Twitter, like literally just like a picture with the text on it, you know, like they were fucking ready to be like, people are gonna get mad, but here we go, tweet, you know, and honestly, I can't blame them, you know, if I was in their position, I'd be shitting bricks too, you know, because Xseed has always said that, you know, we want to bring our games over with no changes or, you know, as little changes as possible, basically. And it seemed like here they weren't able to negotiate, and they had to remove something, which I personally do not like. I know that there's a lot of people that are gonna go out there and be like, oh, why do you want to touch the girls, you pervert, huh? Like, they're gonna try to make it about that. And if you're gonna come at me with those arguments, go fuck yourself. Because this is more than just, oh, fan service-y, I want to grab boobs, you know? Like, I just think it's really ironic because you have Nintendo, like the allegedly, like, family console, you know, has reflections, Senran Kagura Reflections, that is all about the touching. And so, like, if the family console can have it and Sony can't, like, that's just, like, mind-blowing to me. And this goes beyond just the fan service, as I said. This is about getting the full product. This is about, like, not censoring shit. It's about that double standard of why is it that in certain games, usually Western games, it's okay to have girls kissing. It's okay to have, like, a lesbian relationship. Why is it okay to be so violent? Why is it okay to have it be sexual in that sense? But, like, if it's Japanese and anime, suddenly it's creepy and wrong and get it out of my face and, I'm not one of those people that likes that, you know? Like, come on. You fucking kidding me? And so, with Senran Kagura, it was only a matter of time, honestly. You know, I hate to be cynical, but I was wondering for the longest time that, you know, Senran Kagura might be the target of a lot of hate, whether it be from, like, extremist feminist people or, you know, just really prudish journalists that don't know what the hell they're talking about. Or, you know, again, just the companies themselves not wanting to have that game on that platform. There are a lot of games that don't come over to the West because of that, you know? And I always found it impressive that, you know, in 3DS and on Vita and on PS4, you know, they kept getting away with all this stuff that shows up on Senran Kagura in all of his different games. And so I said, okay, well, I guess, you know, all bets are off now, right? But no, like, in the strangest game of all, you know, like, they come in, you know, Sony comes in with the censorship. So I really don't know what the hell is going on over there. But before I go off on an even bigger tangent, you know, I do just want to make my point of, like, this is more than just a fan service, just like Senran Kagura in general, right? This sets a very dangerous precedent for, you know, companies gatekeeping content in the game, them deciding what you should or shouldn't be seen, depending on what territory you're at, you know, like, no, you're not allowed to see that, you're not allowed to play that, or that's not appropriate, you know? Like, people telling me what I am and am not allowed to play is fucking bullshit. I think everybody should do it in the way that Steam does it. Thank God for Steam, because they said, okay, you know what, you can put whatever game you want, as long as it's not illegal, as long as it's, like, you know, yeah, unless you're putting, like, a fucking snuff film out on Steam, you know, like, you can put whatever you want, right? And so we have really great games out there coming out now, like Evenical and Illusion is making stuff with VR Kanojo and Koikatsu and stuff like that. Some good stuff is actually coming out because they're releasing that restriction. And now, because of that, you know, because of Steam actually playing ball with its audience and actually not being a fucking bitch about putting the you know, ecchi games on their platform, Xseed is actually putting out the full version, like the uncensored, uncut, no features removed version of Burst Renewal onto Steam. And so I'm assuming it's going to cost the same. Obviously, you can't really purchase the special edition or the limited edition of the Steam version. You know, there's no Steam disc for that. That would be digital only. But if you want the limited edition, the soundtrack and all that stuff, you would have to get it on a PS4, which I personally refuse to buy. I hate to get on my cross-tag battle attitude right now, but, you know, Burst Renewal in itself was already a pretty tough sell for me, you know? I hate to, you know, shit on the game itself, but, you know, the game doesn't really have a whole lot going for it, you know? If you've played Estival versus you've played Burst Renewal, it's just a little bit flashier. And on top of that, you know, the story doesn't really have a whole lot because the opening animation is exactly the same as the one with the 3DS one, but just slightly more edited and touched up, you know, like artificially made new. All of the illustrations and, you know, the 2D, you know, images that you see during the story, they're all exactly the same, just blown out to 1080p. You have less characters in this game. You only have Hanzo and Hebijo, and if you want the new Hebijo and you want the Guessing Girls, if you want the other second half that the Versus games are known for, then all of that is DLC, which fucking sucks. I can kind of understand the Yumi and the Miyabi one specifically, because that one actually comes with story chapters, but all of the other characters, you do have to pay for them. In the Japanese version, they were free for a limited amount of time, but that still doesn't excuse the fact that you are going to get charged, you know, if you don't catch it in that time frame, right? I just hate that they keep nickeling and diming you, giving you less and less content for every single newer game that comes out. Like, that's just kind of how it is. And as always, this has been a thing since Shinobi Versus. The DLC is a hot crock of bullshit, where, like, they keep selling you, like, exactly the same fucking stuff over and over again with every single Senran Kagura game for, like, $1.99 or $2.99 or, like, bundles and stuff. I hate that. You know, especially for a game like this, for Senran Kagura, that is very fan-servicey, and it's all about seeing the girls in, like, different outfits, and seeing the clothes ripping and stuff. You think that they would keep adding more and more and more to it, rather than taking away more, and then charging you for it, you know? There's even, like, if you pre-order, you get, like, the old-style Hanzo uniform, which is something that you had since Shinobi Versus for free, but now I gotta pay for it now, you know, as, like, a pre-order bonus, or just for DLC separately later. Like, fuck that, you know? Like, I'm already pissed off of a Burst Renewal as it is on those terms, right? And so, on top of that, they're removing the intimacy mode to it on the Western release. Like, literally the only thing that would make me want to play Burst Renewal and cover it and review it is that, A, I'm a fucking Senran Kagura fanboy, so, like, I've reached that point where, like, no matter what, I'm gonna get it, right? You know, so fuck me, I'm a part of the problem. But, the second thing is, if I get a review code, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Xseed itself can check, right? But, I'm pretty sure I filled out a form a while back asking for a review copy for Burst Renewal on PS4, and that's going to be a problem because I don't want to cover the PS4 version if it's going to be all censored. I would very much rather cover the Steam version, so maybe I need to send another form talking that, hey, you know, circumstances have changed, you know, the game has changed. I would very much rather get a review copy for Steam if I ever get it. We don't even have a release date, you know, for this game yet, so God knows when the review codes are going to come. But if I get one, you know, then that's it. I have the game, right? But if I don't, it's gonna be a very, very, very tough time deciding if I'm even gonna buy the game, period. Because, Burst Renewal specifically has a lot going against it. And, you know, if they keep cutting stuff more than they have already cut, you know, for DLC, then, yeah, man, I am very afraid for Burst Renewal. And I'm afraid for the future of Senran Kagura, you know? Like, the one big saving grace that I'm hoping to God is, like, amazing is Senran Kagura 7. You know, all of the numbered games, all of the mainline games have been great, you know? Burst was a good, you know, baseline for the story. Senran Kagura 2 basically improves on everything that the 3DS lacked, and it was amazing. And so now we're getting 7, you know? You're putting the big fucking number on that Senran Kagura title. It better be fucking good, right? And it better not do that DLC bullshit. It better not cut the cast in half, you know? Like, just all of this bullshit that we're seeing on all of these spin-off games and on this remake, I fear that it might just end up ruining the newer games, right? Like 7. So, yeah, this is very difficult to unravel because, again, you know, this is what I'm saying. This is more than just, oh, I can't grab Daddy, oh, I'm sad, you know? Like, this is not like Pathetic Nerd can't grab Booby. This just sets a dangerous precedent of, like, what is the future for Senran Kagura? How censored is it gonna be? You know, will there be a future where the Senran Kagura games are not even allowed on PlayStation anymore, you know? Like, I hate to bring it to that extreme, but we have had moments like Omega Labyrinth where, like, the game flat out just doesn't pass. Even though the game is fully translated and ready to go, they just say, like, nope, you can't put it out there. And that's it. You know, you can't do anything about it. So, like, what the fuck do you do after that, right? Now, on the bright side, Xseed thought about, okay, we're putting this on Steam as well, so, like, chill, right? On the bright side, you can just get it on Steam. I know that not everybody has a PC. I'm fortunate enough that I just bought a brand new PC recently, so I'm good. But, what about everyone else, right? You know, that'd be shitty. And so, let me just read out what Xseed Games tweeted, a little bit ago. This was on Friday night, I think. So it says, the release of Senran Kagura Burst Renewal will be slightly delayed as we remaster, more like fucking demaster. You're degrading by taking, you're not remastering stuff by taking shit away, but hey, you know, yeah, remaster to remove the, they're probably using the word remaster in a different sense of what I'm thinking, but you know, I'm not a game developer. They're removing the interactive intimacy mode from the PlayStation 4 version, Xseed Games said in a tweet. The Steam version will release with that mode intact, and it will launch simultaneously with PlayStation 4. We're looking forward to sharing the release date shortly, and appreciate your patience. Yeah, so it's going to be a simultaneous release, one version clearly better than the other, but, yeah, the follow-up tweet says that we respect the wishes of the platform holder, even though they don't fucking respect you for shit, considering how previously it was okay, and now suddenly it's not. Like, it's just really weird. But yeah, you know, Xseed just kind of got, you know, tied up in all this shit. You know, they really can't do anything about it. This is all on Sony. If you guys are going to complain and send, you know, hate mail or anything like that, or, you know, express your concerns about, you know, this feature being removed, then I highly recommend that you target Sony and not Xseed, for God's sakes. You know, one of the localizers from Xseed, Ryan Graff, actually follows me on Twitter, and I follow him. And he's a really great guy. He's been really kind to me, and he's been expressing his concerns as well. He says, like, dude, nobody here is happy either. Like, you know, he very much says, like, this was not our decision. We don't like it either. It was all on them. And, you know, I reached out to him, and I said, you know what, like, I get it, but I'm gonna get it on Steam, you know? I still want to show my support, so I'm gonna get the game on Steam if I don't get a review code. Some people have been saying that, you know, that the game should be cheaper, that they should, like, you know, reduce the price of the game because they're removing features. I think that's a little bit unreasonable. I don't think that should be the case, because when you stop and think about it, like, how, if you put it in a percentage, how much is the intimacy mode? And even that, you know, they're just removing the grabby hands for you to not be able to grab boobs in the game, right? But you still have the dressing room and everything else on it. So, like, how much is it? Like, 1% of the fucking game? So, like, with your logic, what? Are they gonna, like, take away $1 from the price of the game? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, people that are saying, are you gonna reduce the price? Is this going to affect Senran Kagura 7? You see, that's a good question. You know, the good question that you should be asking is, will this affect future releases? Right? Not reduce the price because it's an incomplete game. I mean, I would argue that it's an incomplete game, but not because of that, you know? I would argue that it's kind of incomplete because of its complete and utter excess of DLC since Festival Versus. But, you know, that's a different discussion entirely. And again, that is out of Xseed's hands. None of that is Xseed's fault. That is all, like, Marvelous. That is all Honey Parade Games. That is all fucking Almighty God Takaki making all the decisions, alright? You know, Xseed just translates the game in English and does whatever tweaks and changes they have to make, and then they put it out there. You know, anything when it comes to the DLC, what characters are coming out, you know, what the game actually has in it, you know, other than the text, that is not their decision. That is not their choice to make, you know. Other people tell them to do it. So, like, if you're gonna be mad at anybody, be mad at Sony. And if you're mad about, you know, the game being incomplete or about the DLC, be mad at the Japanese developers because they're the ones pulling the strings on that one. So, yeah, I do feel bad for Xseed because they're really not, you know, they're just kind of stuck in between everybody's anger, right? And they really don't know what to do other than just send a tweet and just cover their heads because, you know, like, what else do you do? I mean, they respect the wishes of the platform holder. I don't know, you know, after hearing that nobody was happy about it, I think they understand, but they're still pissed about it. Let's see, let's just keep reading and see what's up. Xseed Games localization producer Tom Lipschall said in a tweet that while previous entries in the series allowed this mode for the Western release, the removal for this game is due to a brand new policy from Sony. So this is brand new, very recent rules that were put in place, and Burst Renewal suffered because of it. Lipschall's added that he believes it's the interactivity in general that's the issue. So Sony doesn't like that the player itself is doing this. Even though it's all in good fun and there's really no malice and you know, behind it. Let's see. So here's a Twitter exchange, you know. If you don't stand up for the stuff you don't like, when they come for the stuff you do like, you've already lost. Yeah, pretty much. I don't like intimacy mode in SK. Really? I've always stood up for it because, well, this is how it starts. Welcome to the new 90s. Oh, man. There's a brand new policy. Somebody's asking, is it because of their age? Molesting underage girls? Or not even molesting. Changing their age won't solve the problem. Like, it's fucking fiction, dude. Whatever. I'm sure the age of the characters doesn't help, but I believe it's the interactivity in general that's the issue. I don't believe changing the ages would make any difference. Exactly. This is why I keep saying that it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it doesn't matter if they're 8 or 80. You know, like, the actual, like, the interactivity of doing it is the thing that's probably causing the issue. But, wow. I find it really odd that the localization producer says, I don't like the intimacy mode. It's like, damn, I mean, whatever. That's your opinion, man. You're just a localizer. You're not necessarily supposed to support the game, right? Just translate the shit. That's your job. But, wow. Yeah. And of course, you know, granted, in social media, you always, whenever somebody complains about something, yeah, you always get that wave of people that are like, oh, man, it's so sad you're complaining about this thing. Especially now for anime. Again, double standard, right? You know, if we get angry, it's because we're a bunch of sad virgin perverts that want our titties, right? Because apparently Google doesn't exist and you can't just Google porn if you want, right? I just want a full product, man. I just want the complete product. I want no censorship. I want no shit getting cut. I want no excessive DLC. Just give me a good-ass fucking game that deserves my time and money. And as they have continued on, that is starting to become less and less and less the case, you know? I forgave it with Estival Versus because the graphics were a brand new thing. It was a full-on new story, more dialogue. You know, it was a new game, right? But with PBS, you know, very spin-off-y, a fuck ton of DLC, a lot of crossover characters. You know, that game really isn't as good as it could have been, I feel. And with Burst Renewal, they're kind of doubling down on that, right? Something that could have been great, but it's not. Simply because of all the stuff within its periphery. And the Senran Kagura Reflections, there really isn't a whole lot going for it. So, like, god damn it, dude. We're all just waiting on Senran Kagura 7. Like, 7 is the big fucking savior of this game series. Because, honestly, I don't know if I can withstand another mediocre Senran Kagura game. Or something that has too much DLC. Or something that, you know, has this bullshit. And so, you know, there's your answer. You know, Sony said that it's a brand new policy. Or at least, you know, Tom Lipschall said that is a brand new policy from Sony. So for the people that are asking that if this change will actually affect future releases, chances are yes. I mean, they literally said if it's a brand new policy, unless they change the policy, I don't see, you know, the intimacy mode showing up. But, you know, Valve and Steam decided to not have a stick stuck up their own ass and decided, you know what, you can have your ecchi games here on Steam. Go ahead, fuck it. So, at the very least, there is that silver lining that we can, at the very least, have the uncut version on Steam. And if this continues on with console developers being, like, very anti-anime, very anti-fan service, we're probably going to see an upsurge. We're probably going to see, like an uphill advantage here with Steam. Because they do allow that, you know? They're one of the most popular video game platform holders in the world, you know? And so for them to be able to allow those kinds of games onto their platform, that is a fucking mountain of money that they're just grabbing while everybody else is just leaving it on the table, you know? That's like a business move that a lot of console makers are not doing because they would rather save their own image than save the respect that they have for their audience, you know? Like, instead of respecting or understanding, you know, the fan base and understanding why people like these games, they would rather save their own image and be like, oh no, we don't accept that kind of stuff, despite the fact that, you know, the Japanese market has, like, you know, Omega Labyrinth, and they have, you know, Bullet Girls and Bullet Girls Fantasia, and the Japanese version of all of those games, you know, for Burst Renewal, they don't have that mode cut over there. It is specifically in the Western market. So, yeah, they got their little double standards going on here. And again, like, Nintendo has more loot stuff than fucking, you know, PlayStation is, like, taking away and wanting to remove all the stuff with their new policy, and yet, like, fucking Nintendo Switch has, like, Galgun 2, and they have, like, you know, the dating sims on the Japanese version, and you have Senran Kagura Reflections that has all of the grabbing stuff, like, just, I don't get it, man. I honestly don't get it. It's so confusing. You know, one console allows this, the other console doesn't, and there's, like, a new policy. But Steam allows it, and I'm sure they're gonna get a fuck ton of money out of that, because all of the other consoles simply, like, you know, they want to maintain their image and not really go too far with it, you know? Like, it is their little, like, you know, their mindset, their double standard that allows them to, like, leave that money on the table, while, you know, Gabe Newell is creating a brand new knife collection with all of the money that is grabbing by putting stuff like Evanical on Steam, you know, allowing it to be there, right? Let the fucking people decide what the fuck they want to play. You shouldn't be deciding that for us, alright? Fuck off, Sony. Or at least, you know, fuck off for this decision specifically. I don't know anything about this brand new policy, but it's already sounding like a crock of shit, because, you know, if it's affecting games like this, like these, when before it was okay, like, I just don't know. I just don't know how much I can take without fucking going mad. But, yeah, man, this is just such a shitty... It's a shitty situation, and I hate to, you know, rant incessantly. I think I've been going for like 40 minutes now. Let's see, actually. Let's see. Yeah, 25 minutes I've been ranting about this bullshit. And, like, that's how much it pisses me off and how much it matters to me, because this just continues to reinforce the people that are, like, super anti this kind of game, you know? When these games have a lot more to give, especially Burst. Burst is a fantastic story. It's a great story. And, like the game, if you want to compare the 3DS version to the PS4 version, then obviously Burst Renewal is a really good game in that aspect. Because not only does it have the great story that the 3DS game had, but, you know, they completely reworked all of the gameplay so that it lives up to today's standards, rather than the, you know, frame rate deficient mess that was the 3DS game. But, like, all of the modern day shitty things about the game industry came along with it, with that remake, right? With, you know, crappy DLC practices and pre-order bonuses and all that fucking depressing shit, right? And again, Xseed can't do anything about it, right? That's mostly all on the Japanese side of things. And here we go, you know, Saramano fucking knows where it's at, where he's, you know, calling back to this, you know? This is not the first time Sony Interactive Entertainment has affected the release of a game on its platform in the West. The Western release of Omega Labyrinth Z, a game with several erotic elements involving young girls, was canceled by publisher PQ to comply with the wishes of the platform holder. Ah, Sony. Hate you so much. Yeah, and, you know, like, the double standard continues on, because usually, you know, whenever there's anger regarding certain decisions or games getting canceled, you usually see, like, other YouTubers talking about this, and I'm really sad to say that I probably am going to be one of the very few people that actually talks about this, because of that fucking notion of, like, oh, you pervert, whoa, you want to touch titties, huh? You fucking sad little nerd, you know? It's going to be, like, almost that high school jock bully kind of mindset of, like, oh, yeah, good cover, oh, integrity for a full product, yeah, right, you know? I'm assuming that that's how it's going to be, and I've already seen people on Twitter being like, oh, man, people are angry about this, and I am laughing so hard, and is like, dude, really? Like, you wouldn't be laughing so hard when a game that you give a shit about, you know, gets cut and canceled and it doesn't show up. Yeah, you'll be pissed then, right? And, like, you don't see me laughing because I actually want to see, like, full, complete products show up, you know? I'm not here laughing at other people, you know? We all have different things that we like. We shouldn't be disrespecting people for that, you know? We all like what we like. I'm not going to take that away from you, right? But, yeah, this is just a very unpleasant, unfortunate situation. And a game that is already, like, a very tough sell for me to begin with. So, yeah, you know, things are not looking really particularly nice for Burst Renewal in the West. Now, of course, if I want to support Takaki in, you know, buying Burst Renewal on PS4, if you have no choice and you want to get Burst Renewal and you don't have a PC and you have to get it on PS4, go get the Japanese version. You know, like, bring your 3DS, you know? Get a copy of Senran Kagura Burst on 3DS and play it at the same time as you're playing the PS4 version so that you understand what's going on in the story, because it's identical. None of the voice actresses even re-recorded their lines. It's exactly the same audio files used on the PS4 version. This is what I'm telling you. Like, 80% of the game is being recycled. The other 20% is the upgraded graphic that is already from previous games anyway. It's the same engine. So, like, you know, there really isn't... There's barely anything that's new here. The only thing that is actually new and different in this brand new Senran Kagura game is the Yumi chapters and the Miyabi chapters, and those are fucking DLC! So, not even the new shit you have to pay for extra! So, you know, if you have no choice and you need a PS4, get Senran Kagura Burst, and just play the story in English at the same time as you're playing the Japanese version of the game, because I refuse to abide by this brand new policy and, you know, get the Western PS4 version, because I don't want to play an incomplete product. I want to play the whole thing. And, yeah, thankfully you have a big-ass PC for me to be able to play more modern games on it, so I will be playing it on Steam. But PS4, no way. I refuse. I refuse. I do not. I want to express my malcontent over this, regardless of how many people laugh at me over, oh, why do you care about anime titty game? We should all care when fucking people are legitimately, maybe not taking our games away, but taking, you know, parts of a game away. And they keep taking more and more parts and more and more parts, and eventually they completely cancel the release of something like Omega Labyrinth Z. You know? People say, we're not gonna take our games away. Oh, no, but actually they have. Actually, they have with fucking Omega Labyrinth. You know, that's a game that literally got taken away from us. It was ready to go, and it's just like, nope, no, you can't do it. So, fuck you. Like, alright, you know? What you gonna do? I'm sure a lot of people have, you know, strong opinions about this. I know that my audience in particular are Senran Kagura lovers, so they have some stuff to say. So, I'm just gonna let you guys, you know, have it out in the comments. I don't know if I'm gonna be looking at the comments on this video. I think, you know, at least for my fans, I already know what the hell they think, you know? Maybe I'll respond depending on, you know, how good or bad the questions are, but, yeah, let me know what you think, and whenever I calm down, because I am very ranty today, you know, this legitimately pissed me off when I heard it, but yeah, as soon as I calm down and I get a cooler head about this, let me know what you guys think, and I'll read the comments. Give this video a like if you resonate with this, or if you disagree, you know, feel free to dislike. I'm not going to ignore the dislike button. Yeah, you know, give it a like, and of course you can subscribe, bell icon, comment, whatever you want. Social media links are down in the description down below, and I will see you guys next time for more videos, hopefully featuring news stories where fucking stuff isn't getting censored and taken away and changed. But hey, at least we got Steam. All hail Lord Gaben.